For close to 50 years, June Alexander was at war with her thoughts.
I've eaten today 6 crackers, mixed veggies, 2 soup cubes.
These diaries, kept since she was 11 years old, chronicle in detail the battle between her mind and body.
My history with anorexia began when I was 11 years old in grade 6 at a one-room primary school in country Victoria. I finally started to get the right help and the right diagnosis in my early to mid-30s. And recovery took a long time.
Anorexia was a constant presence throughout her adult life.
One thing about an eating disorder, it's extremely isolating and secretive. Basically, it wants to isolate you from your loved ones and it wants to kill you. We know it has the highest death rate of any psychiatric illness. So to overcome the fear that the eating disorder puts in you and actually share it with someone takes a lot of courage.
There really is a misconception that eating disorders only affect young women, and that's simply not the case. It affects boys and girls, young and old, and everything in between.
Dr Gemma Sharp is a clinical psychologist who specialises in eating disorders. She's trying to dispel the myth that anorexia only affects young women.
How have things been going? So the prevalence for eating disorders in adults is around 16% and in adolescents is around 22%. So there's really not that big a difference between adolescents and adults. And I think people would be really surprised to learn that the adult prevalence is so similar, that really people are not growing out of these disorders, that they are continuing throughout their lifespan.
How much I shouldn't eat.
Okay, how about we get you a referral to a dietitian?
She's witnessed an increase in the number of older women presenting for treatment.
Alrighty, on your pop. So at my clinic, I'm certainly seeing an increase in the number of women in their 40s, 50s and 60s coming forward for eating disorder treatment. We have a rather youth-focused culture, and certainly there's a lot of pressure on people to keep looking good as they age.
New data provided to 7:30 from advocacy group the Butterfly Foundation indicates that close to 5% of women aged over 45 are currently living with a condition like anorexia, bulimia or compulsive eating.
We believe there are one of 2 things happening with the older population. One is that the eating disorders can be very long-term and chronic and enduring. They're very complex mental illnesses. The other group of people are older people who are triggered later in life by transition stages such as menopause, who then go on to develop an eating disorder.
Dina Davis has struggled with body image most of her life.
I haven't talked about this in public ever before. In some ways, I'm hoping this will be therapeutic for me and relieve the sense that I've had most of my life of shame and secrecy.
As a teenager in the 1950s, she was given electroconvulsive shock therapy in an attempt to stop her negative thoughts.
I just remember them sticking something cold and wet on my temples. I wasn't given an anaesthetic, and then a lot of it is blotted out of my memory after that, but I know that coming around, I didn't know who I was. I had no idea of my name.
Her struggles with disordered eating have continued even into her 80s.
You know, I had a very big operation a few years ago. After that, the anorexia returned in the form of delayed eating.
The services we currently have tend to be targeted towards younger Australians, and I think that may put off some older Australians from seeking support. They may think no one here looks like me, no one here is the same life stage as me. So I think if we had specialised services for people in their 40s, 50s and 60s, that would be very helpful.
Like you didn't feel like it, so what kind of got you over the line?
The federal government recently announced that all Australians living with eating disorders are now eligible for up to 40 Medicare-backed psychological psychological sessions a year.
We've just had the introduction of MBS Medicare item numbers for eating disorders, which is the first mental illness to have Medicare item numbers specifically for that mental illness. So it's a big step in the right direction for encouraging people to seek help and also for educating health professionals so that they know how to access those items.
Thanks, June.
June Alexander is in a far healthier frame of mind these days. But she says knowing more support is available is a huge comfort.
It's really, really helpful because there's no quick fix with an eating disorder. I'm a dinosaur. I took 30 years. But I'm so glad my psychiatrist did not give up on me.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.